today for us, I have my friend Janie Coffey coming to join me. So if you will forgive us, we'll be back to you. We'll be gentle with the show in the meantime, I promise, and I'll turn it back over to you in just a little bit.
See you in a couple.
All right. Hey, good morning, Janie. How are you?
Hi, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, Janie, briefly, would you mind just sharing a little bit for folks who haven't yet gotten to meet you? How did you get to where you are in real estate and in luxury?
Yeah. So 20 years. This is my 20th year in the business.
Hey, congratulations.
In residential sales, I had kind of residential sales aligned businesses before. I'm a general contractor, and I've been in general contracting, building, all of that side of the business since college. So 20 years licensed, 19 years licensed as a broker and a broker associate. I was really ambitious and got my broker's license at a year and a day, opened a small boutique brokerage in Miami, kept that open bricks and mortar through the entire recession. That's basically when I got my license, 2005. A great time, and I don't regret it at all because I learned so much. I think just like Russ was mentioning, you really learn a lot of great tools in the ups and the downs of the market. 5 years in, Sotheby's came to town in Miami. I fell in love with that brand, joined that brand as an agent, became an executive, worked my way up to be the executive vice president of a very, very large Sotheby's franchise. And I did that for about 5 years. Ended up becoming a founding agent at Compass. I was with Compass for 3 years, and then I joined EXP 3.5, coming up on 4 years ago. We did not have a luxury division. Everybody was like, what are you going to do? We still had that outdated logo and everything like that didn't feel very luxury either. But you know what? Everything went great. 2 years in, we developed the luxury division here at EXP. I'm the co-chair of the luxury division, along with 4 other amazing people and amazing staff people. And I've spent a lot of this time also working with agents in a training and coaching capacity about how to get into luxury, and having the background as an owner broker, a top producing solo agent, a team leader, management. I kind of pulled all those things in, and that's what I hope to share with people about luxury, because I've talked to so many agents from so many different brokerages, so many parts of the world. I have a lot of experiences that I pull together, not just my own.
Yeah. And well, speaking of your own experience, I'm curious, were you always a luxury agent, or did you get into that later in your career?
Yeah, no, so I was not. Very few people go right from real estate school into luxury, but it can happen, and I've seen it happen, so I don't want to discourage people from that. It's just not the typical path. I was in a higher end community, Coral Gables, Florida, which is a sub-community of Miami. So the properties were already, even the average price properties were already nice. But I did that. I specialize in historic properties down there, which I still specialize in now. I'm in St. Augustine, and just built my way up through connections. And then finally somebody who I had made a connection with needed me to help sell their parents' place, which was a luxury home. And that just kind of got it going. And then joining Sotheby's actually, gave me a lot of experience and a lot of understanding that everybody has access to. It's not just at that brand, but since I had my own brokerage at the time, I didn't have any other exposure to that. So it's possible for everybody. All it is additional skills and knowledge. That's it.
Well, yeah, and I suspect too, first comes the mindset piece of it, because I think a lot of agents, I'll use the phrase imposter syndrome. I know that gets overused, but I think they do have that kind of fear and doubt. In your experience, having trained and coached so many agents in the luxury space, what are the most common fears and doubts that you see agents struggle with, that if they could just get over that, they'd be able to raise their price point a lot sooner in their careers?
Yeah, there's 3 main things, and you use the term mind trash, I think, which I love, because people hold themselves back far more than the buyers and sellers would hold them back from raising
yeah.
their average sales price. And I hear it all the time. I've heard it for 20 years. Oh, I don't belong to that country club, or I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, or my spouse or my parents aren't this, I didn't go to this university, I don't drive this car, or I don't live in this community, or I don't belong to this board, or I have an accent. You hear that a lot. I have an accent. And none of that matters. I have stories, verifiable proof of very, very successful luxury agents from all backgrounds of life who have become, very good and successful luxury agents. None of those things mattered because, like you said, whatever you said earlier was perfect. You rise to the level of who you think you are, and that's it. So that's something that holds people back a lot, is just their own mindset. The other thing that holds them back often is they think, oh, luxury properties, especially on the listing side, are going to be more expensive to list. They take longer on the market. More of them expire. A lot of that is true. You just make your business plan around that. Just like you make your business plan around, I'm going to sell X amount of properties. I intend to convert X amount of listing appointments. X amount of my listings are going to sell. X amount is going to be my expense ratio. You just bake that all in there. So those are true. But when you put the same metrics and the same conversion ratios as luxury sales versus, say, your bread and butter sales, then you're not stressed if you don't get a listing, or you're not stressed if a listing doesn't sell, because you've kind of already baked that into your business model. And then the bigger thing that people often also think is the people that you'd be dealing with are different. But in reality, I think it's often easier to deal with a luxury buyer or seller for multiple reasons. One, they've probably bought and sold many, many properties over time. Two, this isn't necessarily like the biggest transaction of their life, so they're not like, on edge about everything. They're seasoned. Three, they have so much else often going on in their life that you're letting you be the professional and handle the transaction rather than being obsessed with it and, texting and calling you at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night because, what if I don't get insurance, or all the things that come up. So at the end of the day, luxury buyers and sellers are just regular people, just like us. Their piggy banks might look a little different than ours, but they're just regular people. They have pets to take care of. They have households to run. They have businesses. They have errands to run, all those things. And normally I find easier to deal with, especially than, like, say, a first-time home buyer who's like panicked about everything. So.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of I feel like I got into this business to become an educator, and somewhere along the way, I realized I had to become partly a psychotherapist to help agents
Absolutely.
deal with that head trash that we all have. I mean, we do. It's part of the human condition. But I love your point. Is the world is the world, luxury is luxury. So how do you work around that, right? And how do you make sure that you understand those guardrails and then get into it? So I'm curious then. Because there are some differences of
Yeah.
luxury clients, right? It's not that made up, they're going to be snobby Thurston Howell the third and look down on us kind of stuff. I think I just dated myself with that one, but anyways, but what do luxury clients want above and beyond ordinary clients on the buy side or sell side, and how can we deliver that?
First and foremost, they're looking for high level professionalism. And that means your stuff, contracts, the market that you're working in, you're a good negotiator, you really know your stuff. You're not trying to figure out contracts. You're not soft in negotiations. I'm not saying you have to be super hard, but you have to be a skilled negotiator, because if you think about higher net worth individuals, every other professional they deal with, from their attorneys or CPAs or financial planners, their estate planners, they're all very professional. They've normally sought out the best of the best, or somebody that there's often a lot of referrals going on too between higher price point buyers and sellers to their friends, because if they trusted somebody, that goes a long way. So they do expect high level professionalism, high level knowledge, and high level negotiation skills. And then I would just say, in general, a 5-star experience, whether that's on the buy side or the sell side. you do have to up your game, a lot of times, and make sure that everything is dialed in and your communication is smooth and on point. And just, if you imagine, again, that they would go to a really great CPA to do their taxes, that's what they're going to expect from their real estate professional as well.
Yeah. And I know in the coaching program, you dive deep into that. By the way, guys and gals, on Instagram Live on Monday, is it 12:45 Eastern, Jane?
Eastern, yes. Yeah.
12:45 Eastern, you're going to be on Instagram Live answering all your questions. So if you're curious about what Janie just said and, okay, how do I do that? Come on Instagram Live and she'll answer as many questions as she can. And then, of course, you've got the coaching program starting on Wednesday where you dive deep into that. So question for you. So now we understand a little bit more what these individuals are looking for. How do I meet these folks? What are some good lead generation strategies for luxury buyers or sellers?
Yeah, so I love that question, because a lot of people, going back to what I said earlier, a lot of people think, oh, I need to belong to that certain club, or I need to be on the board of this, charitable foundation or something like that. And I need to golf at this golf club. You don't need to do any of those things. Even a person without a luxury sphere, without a known name, can get into luxury real estate. So on the listing side, of course, luxury expireds is a huge opportunity, because they've already tried who they think is, the top person, and that didn't work. So now they're open to other people. So luxury expireds are huge, and you can prospect for them, or you can do mailing campaign for them. For sale by owners, at the top, the top 1% of the market, I don't think you're going to get a lot of for sale by owners. But in the top 10% of the market, say the 90th percentile, because the Institute of Luxury Home Marketing says that luxury starts at the top 10% of the market. So most people, if you look in your MLS and figure out what that is, you're going to be surprised. It's a lot closer to maybe what you're already doing than you think. So here in my market, it's around 750, 800, 900,000. So more like starter luxury, think move up communities, golf courses, things like that. Those folks might be doing for sale by owner. So that's a great way that you could introduce yourself, get to know them, maybe give them some tips and things like that, and still build a reputation. If you have the finances and the resources to farm, like direct mail farm an area or a property type, that's probably one of the number one ways. But also you can be doing amazing social media. You can be doing videos. You can be building a newsletter, an e-newsletter list, and do that. Hosting open houses, another great way. Even if you don't have listings, find out who else at EXP in your market might let you host open houses and really do them up really, really well. Spend the time to market them in advance, have an amazing event, and then spend the time to follow up with everybody you met, because those are not just opportunities for buyers. They're also often opportunities for sellers, because sellers often go to open houses a few months before they're ready to list, because they want to check out, what's on the market. So that's a great way to meet them. And then you can even door knock around the open house prior to the open house to invite the neighbors. So again, more opportunities to get to meet people. So there's lots and lots of ways to generate luxury leads that are not based on your sphere, are not based on your known, name, and with some elbow grease and some consistency, which is really what this business is about in overall, you can definitely get there.
Well, and that surprises both. In my experience, some of the most successful luxury agents I've ever known were all door knockers. And that surprised me, right? Because I think a lot of people, again, have that head trash that, well, you don't door knock in a nice neighborhood like that. Well, you absolutely do if you're bringing value. And so if you can figure out how to bring value, and I know you talk a lot about that in your course. And then also, I know you made your bones in expired luxury listings. And a lot of times people avoid expireds because they tell themselves, I'm not aggressive enough to deal with those angry people. And I would say a lot of superlative, wonderful things about you. Aggressive is not the first word that comes to mind when I think about you, right? But yeah, you were so
and
successful.
I'm negotiating, and then I
Yeah. Yes, unless you're negotiating,
Unless
absolutely.
we're
But
negotiating.
I would say astute, maybe not aggressive, but astute, right? But
Yeah,
yet you killed it with expired
I killed it with
luxury
expires.
listings because of your strategy that you'll share with them. So I think that's something that most people think that they've got to, as you say, learn how to play golf or tennis and wear the accoutrement and join those clubs. But that's not true at all.
No.
Okay. So, question for you. Could you give me a tip or a strategy that I could go implement today as a first step of getting into luxury?
You're sure. I think the very first step is to educate yourself on what is luxury in your market. And like I said, just go into your MLS, go 6 or 12 months back of closed residential sales, sort them highest to lowest, and find what is that top top 90% break point. And then you'll
Okay.
know that's the starter point for luxury in your area or your MLS. I would do your MLS as a whole. Top 5% in my mind is really where luxury starts, because the top 10% is, like I said, it's more kind of starter luxury, move up luxury. And then the top 1% is uber luxury. But most people in their head are only thinking of that uber luxury. So when they talk themselves out of selling luxury, it's because, so in my market in St. Augustine, Florida, we might have an occasional 20, $30 million oceanfront home. Super rare.
Right.
But some people might think, well, that's luxury. I can't sell that. I don't know how to sell that. And forgetting that, we have tons and tons and tons and tons, thousands of $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 golf homes, riverfront homes, nicer homes. So I would educate yourself on your MLS for that. And then I would set up a hot sheet for the areas that you're interested in and do a couple things. Every morning, I would be looking at what's come on the market, what's expiring, what are the words that are people using in their description, just get your finger on the pulse of the luxury market using that hot sheet. And if there are broker caravans or broker open houses or whatever they're called in your area, I would start to go to those religiously so that you can go and see these properties. You can become immersed in it. Like, what is that that language school that's immersion based? I'll think of it.
Magellan, is it?
I'll think of it in a minute. It's the well-known language school that, like, from day one, you're immersed in it. They are not speaking to you in your native language. So if you can immerse yourself even 15, 30 minutes a day in luxury in your area by starting to gain that knowledge, that will give you a lot more confidence. That will give you a lot more understanding. It will break through that mystique. You'll figure out who are the agents who are selling luxury and go meet them. There's a lot fewer. The one great thing about luxury real estate is there's a lot fewer agents selling it, right?
Yeah.
So generally speaking, not all markets, but generally speaking, they're fairly friendly with each other because there's just a lot fewer, and they know they have to have good working relationships with each other because there's a good chance they're going to be on the other side multiple times with them. So start going and just seeing and just feeling. That's number one, because like you said, the number one thing that holds people back the most is kind of a lack of confidence or mindset. But all that is a lack of knowledge. So if you give yourself the knowledge, you're going to get the confidence. So that's what I would start with. And then figure out lead gen for you and go with that.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting how that head trash can work in your favor when it's other people's head trash, right? The fact that other people are holding themselves back. And to your point, I think the more you get into something, the less mysterious and less mystique there is around it. So I love that advice. That's really good advice. Now, luxury sales success program. Really briefly. So this is a 12-week program. And before, when you were getting into EXP luxury, you either had to prove the production or you had to take the online on-demand certification. And that certification was certainly, it's a good course, but it is nowhere near the 12 weeks that you put out.
Yeah.
And so much so that EXP Luxury now allows your course, your 12-week program, to count as your luxury certification. So if I were going to get into that, what could I expect from that?
Yeah, so it's 12 weeks. And I will say we have a lot of luxury agents take the course too, like existing current luxury agents. And so we call it Foundations to Mastery, because there's literally something for everybody in those 12 weeks. We cover mindset. And I'm actually moving that to session number 1, because so many people found value in that previously, but it was deeper in the course. So we're going to do mindset session number 1. But then we do each week of those 12 weeks, instead of building upon each other of one theme, we take one theme and go really deep for an hour around luxury through that. So one is on farming, one is on, hosting amazing open houses, one is on expireds, like you mentioned, one is on working with buyers. So we've taken it and done like a really deep dive into a topic. So there is something for everybody, regardless. We've had people 37 years in real estate, in luxury, who have taken the course. And then we've had brand new agents, brand new licensees taking the course. The one thing everybody says when they come out of it is either they have so much more confidence around luxury and it's demystified to them, or if they're already a very seasoned agent, they have a clear path of how they're going to build their lead gen. So there's definitely something for everybody.
Awesome. And if you have questions, again, go on Instagram Live Monday at 12:45 Eastern, and Janie will be there to answer all your questions. And then join us Wednesday starting on March 19th for Luxury Sales Success. And there's the QR code. You can go to expelevatecoaching.com to learn more about that. Janie, as always, thanks so much for being here and sharing with us. We really appreciate it. All right. Happy Friday to you. And Russ, happy Friday to you, sir.
Absolutely. Janie, amazing as usual. If you guys have not seen her full program, see it. It's worth every penny.
Thank you.
And by the way, the more you know, the more likely you are to see what you want in your world, in your existence. So get the knowledge first. And then when you have the conversations, it makes it 1,000 times easier. So start with here and the rest of it will take care of itself. See you guys.
All right. Happy Friday, man.
Thanks.
All right, there you go. Amazing, amazing, amazing. A lot of questions answered there that we hear asked all the time. It's like, how do I get into that? I want to be a luxury agent. And she's got all the goods in the front and the back and all the rest of the details. So make sure you check in with that.